Okay, Shalom, Shalom, Kwam Yasha'Allah, Koholoyim La, Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Kahakwadash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and that by the Spirit taught us this beautiful truth, and just want to say the water toward the H.I.M and Akhwath that's out here sincerely keeping the laws, the statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai to the best of their ability. This is Yachanan the Waf, just coming at you with another quick lesson, praying that it's edifying by the Spirit. And this is one of those, I guess, milk lessons, but also, it can go off into meat as well, because a lot of people don't understand that there's no such thing as ethnicities as far as skin color. See, the so-called white man, he has set up a skin color graph, so to speak, where he says that a person with brown skin is black, and he says that a person with red skin is white, which is them. So there's no such thing as black people. There's no such thing as white people. Most races of people that are on the planet, they are different shades of browns or different shades of reds, you see. So, and those are not nationalities. Colors are not nationalities. Everybody has a biblical nationality. The so-called white man, he goes back to Esau or Edom or Edomites or Idumeans. Abraham, Isaac, and Esau is, their parentage or their, family tree, so to speak. And the so-called blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, they come from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, which are the real Hebrew Israelites. And that's the history, But anyway, let's touch on this article because I found it to be very interesting because he's complaining about Lenny Kravitz, Salakia. This is in Complex. Lenny Kravitz says black media outlets don't celebrate him. Name checks the source and BET. So let's read a little bit into this. It says the singer and guitarist says he has reintroduced many black art forms during his decades-long career. Now, if anybody is familiar with Lenny Kravitz, you can clearly see this guy's weird as hell. He's just a damn weirdo. Always had been to me. I never liked no music of his. I mean, he's too, he's effeminate as hell. It's just that Edomite rock star. It's not, and that's the reason why he's not being invited, basically, because by the Spirit, his spirit doesn't resonate. His spirit says that he's an Edomite because his dad is an Edomite, and we're gonna get into that. That's the reason why he's not being invited, and it's not like they're just overlooking him. He's never even been, even geared towards so-called black people like that. He's never been geared towards so-called black people like that. I've seen the guy, you know what I'm saying? Even like his daughter, Zoe Kravitz, I think is her name. She weird as hell too. She's an Edomite. She doesn't act like she doesn't have the spirit of a Judite or a so-called black woman. And you can clearly tell those are so-called white people. And that's where you get, when Yahushua was explaining the parable of the wheat and the tare, because wheats and tares look just alike. So they look like so-called black people, but they have the spirit, which they really are, who they really are. They have the spirit of an Edomite, which is a so-called white race, because that's who they are, man. You can't get around it. Okay, so it says Lenny Kravitz spoke candidly in a new interview about how he sees his relationships with black entertainment and media outlets. Well, what about the so-called black community? When was the last time you heard somebody playing some damn Lenny Kravitz in the hood? Maybe back, you might have had one of those two, the only so-called black people that was probably playing like Lenny Kravitz. You might have had somebody here or there that's just fucking weird as hell in the hood that just wanted to learn how to play a guitar or something like that. But overall, the only so-called blacks that was listening to Lenny Kravitz was some so-called blacks that lived in so-called white people neighborhoods. Talked all proper. They had the damn khakis and whatever. Them type of people. Them type of so-called Negroes. Them uppity ones. Them the only ones that you ain't hearing no Lenny Kravitz in the hood, man. Straight up. Okay. So it says, during a recently published conversation with Madison Vane for Esquire, Kravitz said he has reintroduced many black art forms throughout his decades-long career, which I don't know which ones they are you talking about. It says, to this day, I have not been invited to a BET thing or Source Awards thing. See, that lets you know right there he's off for sale. Kravitz told Vane. And it's like, here's a black artist who has reintroduced many black art forms. No, you're a so-called white man that just happened to have the curse of a so-called black man look. See? That's what's going on here. But you still have the spirit of a so-called white man, so you can move about in this world the way that a so-called black man that actually look like a, like we look the same, but you can move differently in this world than I can move differently in this world. Why? Because we have different spirits. Your spirit is going to resonate with the so-called white man's spirit, and they're going to allow you to move about and get money and not oppress you and do certain shit to you. When it comes to us, it's not the same. Straight up, it just is what it is, man. Okay, it says, and he says, and it's like, here's a black artist who has reintroduced many black art forms, who has broken down barriers, just like those that came before me broke down. That is positive, and they don't have anything to say about it. Nah, bro, you weird as hell. Look at this outfit he got on. Look how you can clearly tell. See, this is what happens when a so-called white man gets with a so-called black woman. They get the skin color, they get the hair texture, but he's a white man. And this is scary, too. This is scary. Why it's scary? Because you have so-called white thinkers in the bodies of black, so-called black people, and they're moving amongst you and moving about with you, and they're totally against you by spirit, man. Straight up. Matter of fact, you know what? Let me grab that scripture real quick. This right here is the reason why I'm saying that. What's that? Genesis 25. Now, this is the twins, Esau and Jacob. If you're familiar with the story of Isaac and Rebekah, she was barren. Our forefather Isaac prayed, you know what I'm saying, to the Lord that, you know what I'm saying, they could have children or a child, basically. But coming to, roughly paraphrasing, she was, pregnant with twins. And this whole fight that's going on throughout the earth right now is between the so-called blacks and the so-called whites. That's why you always hear black and white. You never hear really, I'm talking about on a large scale. You never hear of whites and Chinese, whites and Japanese, or whites or blacks and Chinese, or blacks and Japanese, or any other race of people. Generally, it's always black and white. When it comes to racism, it's generally always black and white. It's just the way that it is. It's always been that way. When you see it on TV, you see it on the news, you see all this shit going on, it's generally black and white. And this is the reason why right here, right? So when she had the twins, let me see here. Let me start at verse. Here we go right here. Let me start at verse 21. Genesis 25 and 21. It says, and Isaac entreated the Lord Yahweh for his wife, because she was barren. And Yahweh was entreated of him, and Rebekah, his wife, conceived. So she got pregnant after Isaac prayed for her. And the children struggled together within her, and she said, if it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of the Lord. So these children, it's multiple. It's saying children, so of course, she's got twins. It says, and the Lord Yahweh said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people. That's why he's a damn weirdo, and he has no rhythm, but he can appeal to the so-called white race because those are his people. He doesn't appeal to us. You're not gonna see no packed house. He can't come and sell out no arena, and it's gonna be a packed house with all number so-called Negroes in it. You would never see that. His whole audience has been nothing but so-called white people, his own people, since he started his career. It's that simple, man. It says, and Yahweh said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels, and the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. And when her days to be fulfilled, when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. These 2 nations of people, 2 manner of people, which is 2 mannerisms. We're different from them. They're different from us. You can clearly see it. We're stronger than them. We're better than them at everything. You know what I'm saying? I mean, come on, bro. They can't. They're not. We're above them. And actually, the Lord actually said that in Deuteronomy 7 and verse 6. We're above all these nations. We just so happen to just be downtrodden right now because, of the curses of Deuteronomy chapter 28 and the Lord sending these people up against us. All these nations are against us. So basically, we're in a fight like 17 against 1. We're one nation. All the other 17 nations on the planet are against us on a constant basis, on a day-to-day basis. And the number one enemy is the so-called white man, which is our brother from the womb. You see? He just happened to come out without that melanin, man. It says, and the first came out red. What do we say? See? Because there's no such thing as white people. He came out red. These people are pinkish to reddish in color. Pay attention to them. Just look at them now that I said that if you've never thought of it. They're not white. They don't look like a glass of milk. They are pinkish to reddish in color, man. It says, and the first came out red all over like an hairy garment, and they call his name Esau. That's his name. That's the name of the so-called white man. Esau. Edom. The Edomites. And all the clues are there as to who they are. This dude has been a weirdo, man, since he came out as an artist. Straight up. Look at him. You think Jake not dressing? Now, only time Jake get to dressing like this is when Jake lead the hood, get some money, and they go out there and get things done to him and to keep that money. That's when Jake go to dressing weird like this. He been dressing weird like this. Anyway, let's see what else he has to say. While Kravitz has received news coverage from BET, including a video interview in January centered on his part of the film Shotgun Wedding, the Blue Electric Light artist's latest comments appear to be focused more on award shows and related accolades. According to Kravitz, his success isn't celebrated by the folks who run those publications or organizations, but on topic of accolades more generally, Kravitz noted he's not here for that. Instead, he's there for the experience. Okay, anyway. But you can clearly see the guy's a goddamn weirdo, man. This is white people all day long right here. Let's see if this is the play here. Look at this shit. Come on, bro. Look at that shit. Hell out of here. Jake not running around out here like that, man. Jake not running around out here like that, dear. He's a weirdo. He's been like that forever. But let me get to another scripture though. As a matter of fact, let's go to his let's go into his dad. Here's his dad right here, right? I typed up his dad. His dad name is Cy Kravitz. I think it's short for Seymour Kravitz, right? It says he was a white Jewish man. Which, of course, like I said again, there's no such thing as so-called white people. And as far as Jewish, we already know what's going on with that, too. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, bro. But anyway, this is the lady that he married. If you're familiar with the Jeffersons TV show, this is his mom, right? This is his mom. She used to be, considered to be, a pretty so-called black woman for back then. And I think, this was around the 70s, Roxy Roker or whatever, right? So now she married this guy. This is the dad right here. Basically, here they go right here. That's the guy. That's his dad. And you trying to tell me he's not going to grow up and be come on, bro. There's your answer right there. That's the reason why BET and the Source magazine and Source and all these other so-called black publications are not inviting you nowhere, because they see you don't fit, bro. You just don't fit in. That's like getting the Kiss band to come through or something. You know what I'm saying? I mean, come on, bro. Nah, cuz it don't work like that. But here's the, let me just get the scripts. I'm going to keep this short and sweet, man. I don't want to keep it long. I just seen that, and I'm like, man, come on, bro. But this is the reason, though. Numbers chapter 1. Let's get straight to the point. Numbers chapter 1 and verse 18. And it reads, and they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second month, and they declared their pedigrees after their families. So your pedigree is your ancestry, your clan, your lineage. So they declared their pedigree, and they declared their pedigree after their families. Now check it out. This is how you do it. This is how you know your family lineage, or your family tree is what they call it, by the house of their fathers. So his family lineage comes from the house of his father, which is a so-called white Jewish man. And they don't have the same spirit as so-called blacks, man. We are the real Hebrew Israelites, and they are some imposters. Basically, they're just so-called white people that's claiming to be, you know what I'm saying, and people, they have really fooled the world into thinking that they're not white people like white people here in America, or so-called white people in Europe. They have really fooled the world. Why? Because they own the media. As a matter of fact, that's the company, that's the business that his dad was in. That's how he met the so-called black woman, his mom, doing that TV show, because he was one of those so-called Jewish people that owned, the networks and stuff like that, that was into telecommunications and stuff like that, right? It says, and they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the month, second month, and they declared their pedigrees after their families by the house of their fathers, according to the number of the names from 20 years old and upward by their polls. And that's the way that you go by lineage. There's no such thing as half this, biracial, multiracial. No, those terms are not even that old. The so-called white man. A matter of fact, I think I'm older than those terms. That's just like I'm older than African American. The term African American, I'm older than the term African American. I'm actually older than the actual lineage that these so-called white people were claiming that we are, like African American. I'm older than that term. I was born before they even came up with that shit. So how am I African American? See, these are the things that the so-called white man be doing. You have to question that stuff, man. And we're breaking down those strongholds by the spirit and power of Yahweh H.I.M, man. But let me go back to the top here. Further prove it. Numbers chapter 1 and verse 1. And Yahweh spake unto Moses in the wilderness of Sinai, in the tabernacle of the congregation, on the first day of the second month, in the second year after they came out of the land of Egypt, saying, take ye the sum of all the congregation of the children of Israel after their families, remember the pedigree, by the house of their fathers, not by the house of their mothers, by the house of their fathers, with the number of their names, every male by their poll, not every female by their poll. Why? Because the male, he carries the seed, which is called sperm or sperma. Seed and women are just basically like land or ground. You plant the seed, that male plants his seed into that ground. That ground nurtures that seed. That seed pops up and comes up. It's exactly what the seed is, which is the father. It's no different than planting cucumbers. If you plant cucumber seeds, you're going to get cucumbers. It's no different than planting an orange tree or apple tree or whatever. Everything that has a seed, if you plant it, it's going to come up exactly what it is that the seed was. You're not going to plant cucumbers and get watermelons. It doesn't work that way. You're not going to plant cucumbers possibly next to some damn watermelons and it's half cucumbers, half watermelon. No, it doesn't work like that. There's no such thing as biracial, multiracial. None of that is biblical. All this stuff comes from the so-called white man and his social constructs, man. You see what I'm saying? So anyway, this is the reason why your boy Lenny Kravitz cannot catch a break when it comes straight down to Jake just giving him recognition, man. And you might have some people like, hey, I mean, I can't say he's horrible. You know what I'm saying? That what he does, I mean, it's not my kind of music. I wouldn't listen to that shit. But I'm saying, I mean, there are so-called black people that I'm sure probably listen to his music, probably know a few of his songs. Like I just seen him the other night in what's the movie Hunger Games. Didn't even know he was in it because I never watched him before. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna watch this one. He in there looking crazy as hell in that. Eyeliner and makeup and shit on, looking like a damn chick, man. Get the hell out of here, man. And he's always been into stuff like that as far as I know. tight ass leather pants and just nah, bro. You nah. Nah. You get picked at in the hood, man. Listening to some shit like that. You're like, who? You ain't gonna hear nobody in the hood riding by banging no goddamn Lenny Kravitz. I think probably the most popular song that I can think of, I think is what's that American Woman shit. But anyway, with that, hey, I pray that the lesson was edifying. Oh man. Hey, we're definitely in the last days, man. These things must be covered, and the truth is coming out. The truth is coming out. Even like a story like this, man, our people can be edified because our people need to know that there's those color lines, that color shit. You got to get rid of that when you come into this truth. Now, there are Israelites that's out here because I never did show his dad. Check it out, though. But this is his dad. Oh, yes, I did. I showed the younger version of him. But, I think he ended up dying around 80 years old from cancer. I think both of them died from cancer, though. Yeah, this is him right here. This is his dad. The so-called Jewish man, right? And I'm telling you, this is so damn dangerous because the so-called white man, he laid down and slept with a lot of so-called black slave women. And there's a lot of people that's running around that are so-called white people that look like black people. That shit is like a horror movie. That shit is like something out of the Twilight Zone. That shit is scary because I'm telling you now, they think differently. They think like white people, but they look like you. So that means that what? They can easily infiltrate you. That's just like Obama. Oh, everybody thinking that Obama was a Negro. He's one of them. He slipped in and had so-called black people in America going crazy. Oh, the first black president. Come on, bro. But hey. The Lord said he's going to separate the wheat from the tares, man, in these last days. He's going to separate the wheat from the tares. And the wheat is going to be gathered to go into his barn, and the tares are going to be bundled up to be burned. You so-called white people, you're considered to be the tares, the ones that's out here looking like so-called black people, like your Maury twins. You got Tracy Ellis Ross. She's one of them. Them damn Jussie Smollett and his whole family, his siblings. There's plenty of those people that's out here that look like us and they can't do nothing but kind of try and portray us because they look like us. They just caught a bad end of the stick. You see what I'm saying? Because some of these so-called white people, they'll get with a so-called black woman. If she's lighter skinned enough, that child will still come out looking, like a so-called white person and they can kind of get away with it. But when you come out with that kinky ass hair like your mama, in that brown skin, it's a wrap. You got to deal with the black culture now, or the black people, even though you're not one of us. Just see, it's what it is, man. So with that, I pray that the lesson was edifying. Kwame Yashala.